The first problem I've got this morning is I needed to prime some shit, and I gave my epoxy primer to my mate Tony, who's painting my 323. So then I decided to go through some old shit lying around and found some of this crap here. And white epoxy primer fast. Epoxy primer fast. Yeah, hardener. Scott White. Well, I know what the Scott White is. So basically, I've got to try and figure out what these are. And look at the state of this. That is horrendous. But hey, might be still sweet in there. I like being budget, so just be budget and just try and see if we can make this shit work. Right, I'm going to start opening some shit up and try and figure out what some of these numbers are. Just make it happen, eh? So I figured out what this stuff is. This is the hardener for this. These two are hardeners for this. This one here, which is a white epoxy primer. So those two go together. So there's 4 litres all up of that. Then I had to mix it up because this is actually probably 10 years old. So I used an old spatula and cut it up. Here's a piece of the old spatula. Yeah, welded a bit of steel to the end of it. Cut the handle off it, and then mixed it all up. Tipped it upside down a few times to get the hard stuff kind of into the oil a bit more. Put the lid back on and mixed it up, and it came up mint. So it must be a pretty good seal on the lid. So just resurrecting old shit to make stuff happen. So now I've got a nice epoxy to blow some bits and pieces on, and I've got some black 2K coming, and it's just for just painting bits and pieces of stuff, just so it's one hit. Epoxy it so get rid of all the rust. Epoxy it so it's sealed, so the shit won't come back through, and then just 2K like bumper brackets and crap like that, or whatever you need to do. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so mixing up some dodgy epoxy that's like 10 plus years old. You can do it all sorts of ways. Painters will be like, what are you doing? Well, I'll sort of like move that around. I've got one of those measuring things, and it's kind of stuffed it up a bit. Oh, that's way too much hardener. Should be sweet. Now chuck that in there, and then I'm going to go and find some thinners, which is over there. Chuck this in. I've got some things to prime. Right. Now I've just mixed some of that dodgy as 2K up with hardener, with the hardener, the rusty stuff. It came out, well, it's looking okay. It's actually coming out like a creamy colour. Anyway, I've got a bow housing out there, a brake booster, a few bits and pieces, and they're all just absolute shit epoxy. So I'm going to epoxy them and blow heaps of this on because they need a bit of a filler, and then we'll see what they look like. Probably give them a slight sand and top coat them, but we'll have to just see how we go because it's just going to turn absolute shit. Yeah. Anyway, let's give it a crack. So this is the gearbox bow housing that I'm 2K epoxying. Just put some on that side, and it was all painted in some black colour, and it was all epoxy as, and all the aluminium was coming through it, so hopefully you're going to seal it up. And then there's this one here, brake booster. Yeah, mate, that 2K is like 10 years old, so hopefully it goes on and goes dry and it's mint. Who knows? Let's see. So I just got back from taking my boy for a driving lesson, and there's a few sketchy moments, but nothing too bad. It's pretty sweet. I sprayed that 2K epoxy stuff primer on the brake booster, oil fill neck, and water pump. housing assembly, etc., and this bow housing, which I'm going to put on to an MX5 gearbox my mate's picking up for me tomorrow. So hopefully I'll see that actually tomorrow night, and we're going to build an MX5 hybrid thing to go behind a 13B stage 2, which I think will be sweet because they seem to be getting beaten behind like 300 horsepower PPs, pulling at massive revs, so that'd be sweet. I mean, my RX4 gearbox stood up to 300 horse for a fair amount of time before I actually just pulled it out and put something a bit stronger in it, so it's actually still a good box. I've got that somewhere sitting here. But yeah, so it's a pretty good result for some crap that I didn't really know what it was, to be honest. It was so old, we've been lying around for some project from ages ago, completely forgotten about it. So what I'm going to do with this tomorrow is, there's some shitty bits and it needs a good, they all need a good sand, especially the brake booster, which actually fell over when I was painting it, so it's a bit fucked. Give that a really good sand up and clean up. Yeah, and we've got this over here, which I did some touch-ups with today. It's going, that was an absolute mess, but it's a good engine, but terrible on the outside, so that's going to go black. I mean, sorry, gold. It's gold now, and then I'm going to detail it in black somehow and put some bits and pieces over it. Real happy with how that's sort of going, especially because it appears to be a really good engine, so I'm not going to bother pulling it down because that's exactly what I want right now. Something that's got, it's got a bit of a pulse, but it's a stage 2 type pulse. At some stage I might, if this car works out really well, I might put the other engine out of my other car in it, because it's a lot lighter. It'll go a hell of a lot quicker. It'd be quite a weapon actually. But I wouldn't run that engine in this car, which is my 3D3 hatch, until I have the money to inject it, and that's quite a lot of money because that engine in the other car is just a bag of bones without injection. It's okay with injection, but an absolute bag of bones. Anyway, we're going to have some dinner.